Well, it is January 17th, 2026. It's another Saturday afternoon. And you know what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the phenomenon known to mankind as Saturday afternoon's main event. If after 4+ years of doing this, if after constant episodes of having to go ahead and repeat the same thing, I have grown tired. I don't want to do this anymore. But in honor of all things good on Saturday afternoon's main event, and in honor of the so-called Neanderthals who watch this show and still can't read and still don't know who in the blue hell I am, for those of you that don't, I suggest you go back to school or go into your local library and get the biggest dictionary you can find, preferably Merriam-Webster, and look me up under the words phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the phenomenal one, and of course, here on a glorious Saturday afternoon's main event, I'm not alone because I have my co-host, my comrade, my brother from another mother and dimension. He is the one and only limousine riding, jet flying, kid stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. So, without further ado, guys, give me 2 claps. And a peep snake.
Woo!
There we go.
Yes, we are in the building once again. Another great Saturday afternoon. Oh boy, if you're in the Northeast, you're getting a little bit of snow, nothing crazy. Tomorrow we'll get a little bit more snow. But what we can do to help alleviate that is if you get close, really close, to whether you're watching us on a podcast, you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, or any of those other areas, get nice and close. You can warm your hands up to the fact that we give you 3 tenets that you can go ahead and put in the fireplace and keep you warm for the whole Saturday afternoon. And that is laughs, good times, and woo, all the wrestling news possible. Now, can you dig that? Sucker!
Yes. Well, look, peeps, glad to have you on. Of course, guys, I have to go ahead and break it to you here first that we won't be having our illustrious and glorious co-host, Mr. 411, here on the show today. He is battling little common illnesses. It's okay, guys. He's okay, but he's just battling a lot of, under the weather stuff. Yes. So, look, Chris, shout out to you, man. We know you're watching in spirit, and you're here in spirit, indefinitely going ahead and probably giving out a whole bunch of friendly, non-crazy like banter.
Yes.
Saturday, what am I talking about? But, guys, whether you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, we appreciate you for going ahead and coming on today's show. We appreciate you guys for sharing, liking, whatever it does to go ahead and make a Saturday afternoon go well on Saturday afternoon's main event. You guys are in charge of that. So we thank you for that. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you want to keep up with us as a community within the world of professional wrestling, when it comes to Saturday afternoon's main event, you can follow us on our social media platforms. Instagram being at Saturday afternoons_main event, Twitter being Saturday main, and of course our TikTok where you can find a lot of other good stuff and memes for your enjoyment being Saturday afternoons ME. Without further ado, peeps, I think it's only fair to go ahead and get into today's episode, right? So let's go ahead and do so. Look, guys, beyond all thing else, when you go ahead and hear this sound on a glorious Saturday, when it involves same, it's time for one thing and one thing only. Guys, it is time for us to go into 3-rope talk. All of the professional wrestling news that you can go ahead and find when it comes to the squared circle. Look, peeps, big media news coming on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Will Powerhouse Hobbs is leaving AEW, or has left AEW. His contract expired Wednesday night.
Yes.
Of course, we know what that means for the World Trios titles coming up on Collision later tonight, if that's the case.
Yes.
But, of course, that's not the news that people care about because, of course, AEW has about like a gazillion titles. So I care about the World Trios titles. I digress. First one of the day.
First one of the day.
But, look, the reality is, it's going to be that kind of show. But the reality is, peeps, of course, this probably means one thing and one thing only. In the words of a lot of AEW shills, he's heading to the Fed.
Mhm.
Or I should say to all other glorious fans of pro wrestling, he's going to WWE. Bibbs, what are the odds? What's the chances? And are you already thinking about all the good matches he's going to have with Walter? He can get right into it.
I see what you did there. As Randy Savage would probably say, yeah, dig it. Yeah, what I think we are having now is that discussion that Tony Khan usually tends to have internally within himself of, we have all this talent, top heavy, so many different stars on the roster, and yet there are just a handful of guys I just can't get to push or understand how to use, or in a certain way to use them so that they will want to stay. Now, let's really be honest about this. Powerhouse Hobbs has been on this roster almost since day one. He's been there, I believe, since either the first year of AEW or shortly after the first year of AEW. And let's really call it what it is. Outside of winning the FTW championship, which is really has no lineage to AEW and is now defunct, if you want to look at it in that sense, and these trios championships, Hobbs has won nothing while he's been there. And I remember you and I did a show probably about 2 years ago, and I had tried to make a prediction. I initially did make a prediction that Hobbs should be main eventing pay-per-views for AEW and potentially having a world title on him within a year of my prognostication. Boy, was I wrong on that one. If he's going to win one, it's not going to be in AEW. And that's part of the problem with what AEW has done. I think it works out best for him that he is the probably most underutilized wrestler in that company, one of the most underappreciated. And I think that the WWE, which was really be honest, we know where he's going to go. We know what's going to happen. He's going to be used, I believe, prominently and in a light that is going to show everybody what AEW missed out on. The fans in AEW knew what they got with Hobbs. The difference is, did Tony Khan know?
You know what? For that, peeps, I'll give you a round of applause. He deserves this one, ladies and gentlemen. But no, look, beyond all else, here's what I'll say to that, peeps. Does it suck not having Will Hobbs on our AEW roster? Of course, because we all know that genuinely Hobbs was supposed to get main card title pushes. You know, he was supposed to be able to, you know, like dawn into that era of being a solo act. And we know that Hobbs had the power and the ability to be an upstanding solo act. But could this be Tony Khan just playing chess? Now, look at it this way. We remember a couple of years ago during the summer of MJF that MJF dropped a promo in the Kia Forum in Los Angeles, California. Of course, one of the lines that he stated was, you know what? Let him hoard all of that money, i.e. Tony Khan. Let him hoard all that money so he can keep giving it to the ex-WWE guys he keeps bringing in. Is the tide shifting? Is Tony Khan just underutilizing some of these major stars so WWE can make an example out of them and hold them to a current standard? And when some of the other people on the WWE main roster aren't getting pushes and they choose to leave their contracts, is Tony Khan trying to get them so that way he can only make his amazing, preposterous, and titanic roster even bigger?
I think you're giving Tony Khan. I understand that. I can hear the sarcasm.
It's too much for him to go ahead and, you know, like Jess with all the coke that he goes ahead and snorts. I get it, but please, can one just imagine? I think the thought process is Tony Khan, based on the line of thinking that you're going, is that Tony Khan right now is trying to see if he can give the WWE his unused toys and then let them take him off his hands. Because one thing that we can honestly say about Tony Khan is, outside of CM Punk, we know Charles Montgomery was fired. Yeah. Outside of that, he doesn't fire anybody. He lets people's contracts expire. That's the one thing I will give Tony Khan. So if you're going to have somebody leave,
he at least allows them for their contract to expire, so then they can just get up and go about their business and go along with the rest of their career instead of being in limbo for 30, 90 days or whatever the no compete clauses the WWE usually does. But outside of that, this one is going to hurt. The same way Cody Rhodes leaving hurt. The same way Ricky Starks, who is now Ricky Saints, how that hurt. How Jade Cargill leaving hurt. Now, if you're going to look at the people that have come back from WWE and have gone into AEW, the main one that kind of blaringly gets out there is Mercedes Moné and Adam Copeland. Those are the two that really go out there. Swerve Strickland leaving WWE or being let go and then becoming a star in AEW. So there are guys that have come from there, go into AEW, and have become stars, if not in name only, but in getting the exposure that they probably weren't going to get. Whether it's the right exposure or not, that's going to be contingent on your opinion of what you think their pushes are. But this is, if we're going by that logic, I don't think Tony Khan is playing, 4D chess, as some people would like to say, while other people are playing 2D checkers. I don't think that's the case.
Okay, got it. Well, peeps, again, I know I alluded to this earlier. What are the matches that you're looking forward to Will Hobbs having on the WWE roster if he goes to WWE?
Well, in the big meaty men slapping meat department, which we haven't had in a little bit, we would like to see a match between himself and Walter. That would be insane to have. I think everybody would pay big money just for that match. We could see him in a match with Roman Reigns. You could see him in many other matches with other guys that are on the roster, but I think for me, Braun Breaker versus Hobbs, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to keep the Powerhouse Hobbs name. They're going to probably give him some generic new name, or maybe he'll come up with a new name that they'll then. Dear God, no. That was one thing I can honestly say, that it's not that Vince is no longer part of the company. We don't have to hear generic nonsense like Marcus Corvan or Bearcat or any of the other nonsense that we've seen.
Marcus Corvan was crazy. Because wasn't that just Marty Brown?
Yes, that was Monty Brown. Get ready for the pounds. Period. That's who he was. There you go.
Good grief. Yeah, they underutilized them too. I digress, man. Second one of the day.
There we go. Number two.
This is what happens. But look, all for Will Hobbs going ahead and getting his, whether it is going to WWE, whether it's TNA. I digress. Look, all we can say is, geez, we're on a roll today, man.
That's 3. We're only 13 minutes into the show. We already got 3 of them. So, and I haven't even started yet. But it's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. But yeah, all in all, so Will Hobbs, we wish you the best in your future endeavors, and we can't wait to support you wherever you do go.
Yes.
But with that being said, let's move away from AEW talk, guys. AEW starting off the show this week. Look at that, man.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what happened Thursday night. TNA Impact returned to cable television.
Yes.
And please do not say Access TV was a part of cable. Okay? If you think that, screw you. The reality is, peeps, it wasn't a bad show. But there were a lot of stinkers.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and review this, right?
Okay.
So the Hardys end up winning their trios match alongside Elias, right?
Yes.
I guess it's AEW.
Well, actually, Elijah. Remember, it's Elijah. Yes. Got to walk with Elijah. You might get sued.
You know what?
But I digress. There's your first one. That's 4 already.
We're only 15 minutes in, guys.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
But, yes, Elijah. Trios match with the Hardys. They end up winning that. The Righteous then come out, make their appearance. We end up finding out that they have become signed to TNA. Deep's time is ticking. They're channeling to win the tag team titles from the Hardys.
Yes.
Okay, that happened. Match wasn't bad. Cool.
Yes.
We want to continue on here when it comes down to one Santino Marella. Okay.
Yes.
Going ahead and saying that he needs a lot of help due to the fact that his daughter is running off with Stacks. who is the TNA International Champion.
Yes.
Betrayed him in a McMahon-Helmsley spirit, I should say.
Yes.
He says that he needs more help controlling the roster, so he brings in another person to be by his side on this. The person that he brings in, Daria Ray, so who all know as Sonya Deville.
Yes.
Sonya ends up going ahead and being a cool little, face for about 3-4 minutes. Then she turns on the fans. She turns on Santino, administers that she needs to be an enforcer in TNA and there needs to be structure. And she says, with my first hand of power here on TNA, I have just signed this individual. And then out comes Elena Black, to all who know as the WWE NXT reject / OnlyFans star, Cora Jade.
Yeah.
I digress. That's one of the day. Jeez.
Oh, man.
But she comes out, doesn't say a word. How nice, right? You would think first show of TNA back on cable in years, they would do something with this. Now they didn't do anything with it. But it continues because no matches, still promos. Guess what, peeps? They showed people who were ringside. They cared more about the streamers than Eric Young sitting amidst the fans. They didn't care about that. None of that.
You mean former TNA World Champion Eric Young? That guy?
Eric Young is ringside. The man is sitting there. They're saying, oh, look at the streamers who we've brought in. BD, who signed a TNA, walks out with the Hardys during their entrance. He wasn't even in a goddamn freaking match. But it still happens. The reality is they start showing all the other streamers, which is not a problem. Look, to each his own. They are great. Mini Portable, Wheezy Blonde. I mean, okay, I get it. Understandable. But then you have Eric Young, who's ringside, former TNA World Champion. Oh, and there's Eric Young.
Yeah. The afterthought. Yes.
But
yes.
I digress. We'll get to it later. But look, all in all, right? What is it that Perez Hilton, not even Paris, Perez, what does that MFer know about professional wrestling? I'm going to turn into Kanye West real quick, as I quoted the peeps earlier. Yo, Lady Gaga's the executive producer of Polaroid. I know Gaga songs. What did she know about cameras? What the hell does Perez Hilton know about? Yeah. You know what? I'm not even gonna say. I'm not even gonna say it, peeps. I'm not gonna say it.
We're gonna have about 200 of them by the end of the show at this rate. So
it's not gonna happen.
Right now we're at 6. Yeah.
But no. To make it all even better. Okay, peeps. The Knockout Women's title match.
Yes.
Let me just move on to the main event. Mike Santana is your new TNA World Champion.
Yes.
How was the show? Not bad. But you know what really put the stain on it? And peeps notices I didn't even bring it up. Because I skipped over to the world title match. What is Anthem thinking by going ahead and showing the average TNA diehard / wrestling fan in attendance or watching at home? Why does he bring in one Dixie Carter? The same Dixie Carter who not only ruined a bunch of TNA. Now, look, I get it. Yes, TNA was already on the cusp of probably going bankrupt. They're already about to be dead. Cool, she revived it with Daddy's money. Good job, Tony Khan. I get the reference. But this is the same Dixie Carter who ended up screwing that exact same roster by bringing in Eric Bischoff and, i.e., that doesn't work for me, brother, Hulk Hogan. You guys couldn't bring Jeff Jarrett on the show? The progenitor of NWA Total Nonstop Action. You couldn't do that, huh? But yeah, Dixie deserves the limelight. And guess what? You know what even made it better? She got booed in her home state of Texas.
Yes.
She got the Hulk Hogan Netflix debut tribute. I'm surprised they didn't hit her with the nah, 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 nah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did at the Hammerstein when Bubba Ray Dudley put her through a table.
Yes.
But you show her on our
yeah.
screens. You know, peeps, what do you think of the show, man? I'm not tired of this.
Well, first off, this isn't the first time that TNA has done a live show. They've done live shows before, but they had a bigger audience. They're on AMC, which is a much more well-known network than Access. As a matter of fact, some people that have cable or satellite, some people don't even have Access TV in their lineup. So they wouldn't be able to see TNA wrestling unless they went on their YouTube channel, because YouTube, they do have their own YouTube channel where they show matches and clips from their show. What my bone to pick is, outside of some of the things that you didn't mention, the production was not as good as it could have been. I had no problem with AJ Styles starting off the show because he was, as he's saying, the face that ran the place. Mm-hmm. It was the house that AJ Styles built. So he was prominently featured in a couple of vignettes and opened up the show to get the fans up. And the fans were really up for that. My problem was the audio sounded bad. I mean, there was a weird, almost like a reverberation, a hollowness to the audio that you could not really appreciate if you watched it live. The other thing that they didn't do is, which is something that a lot of other wrestling promotions have done, namely WWE and AEW, is that they show a picture-in-picture when they go to commercial. One of those things that is now become commonplace within the wrestling product. You don't want eyeballs leaving. So you continue the match, maybe not every match, but you continue the match, picture-in-picture, and then you show the advertisement. None of that. Yet if you watch it on AMC Plus or the TNA, their own streaming service that they have, you watched it with no issues at all because it was live. That's a problem. If you're looking at it from just a pure standpoint of you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, this first impression was not that good. As a matter of fact, CageMatch.net, who usually rates all of the TV shows and all of the wrestling shows that they do, they grade it on a 1 to 10 system. And at last I checked, and I wrote it down before we went on air, they were at a 1.52 out of 10. They rated it horribly. Is it that harsh? Maybe not a 1.5, but it wasn't great either. So we got to see what they do going forward with TNA and their product, but they're going to have to up their game if they want to compete. And we all talked about this, including our co-host Christopher Morton talked about, we were hoping that at some point when the ratings come in, because the ratings still haven't come in for TNA yet, but we want to see them do well. We are looking at, well, based on what they were doing, they could get 200,000 or whatever, because they were doing horribly on Access. I think the most that they did was 110,000, 115,000. They have not done huge ratings since the TNA on Spike TV days. That was 15 years ago. Their highest rating back then was over 2 million. And that was, ironically, the day they started, they moved Impact from Thursdays to Mondays to compete with Raw. We remember how that went. First show was great, and then it was a precipitous drop in the toilet from there.
What happened for the next 4 weeks?
Yes, but they've done, and this is the crazy part. If the product is right, they can do well. That's the only thing. They can do well, and it's funny. I made it my mission to see what TNA's ratings were in the past before we jump forward. From 2005 to 2014, when they were in Spike, they were averaging 1.4 to 1.6 million viewers. Now, mind you, this is going back 10, 15 years when, the cable eyeballs were completely different. And their highest rate, the highest amount of people that they had watching was 2.03 million. And that was, like I said, the Monday night move that they did when they tried to start a war with the WWE that they were not equipped to fight. From 2014 and 2015, they were on Destination America, which was horrible. They went to 300,000 as an average. 517,000 was the most that they did, and that was in 2015. They went to Pop. Nobody knows what Pop is. They were there for 3 years. They averaged 200,000. So you get the idea. 100 to 221,000 was their average on Access TV. If they want to get that, they're going to have to do better.
I agree. Well, look, from there, let's leave the stink of the first show of TNA back on cable to go to one soon-to-be probably real Hall of Famer, because he deserves it, I feel. But yes, it's more of his statements that we're talking about. Was William Regal right? Of course, one William Regal who has taken to social media prior within the last couple of weeks to express how professional wrestlers may be doing some certain moves that aren't needed for a sediment of pop factor. And it damaging their careers in terms of injuries and broken necks and spines and all these different types of other things. Now it's starting to get out because of the certain things that we can see within AEW, which we will talk about in a few. But look at one Elton Prince.
Yes.
Former member. The fact that I even have to say this, okay? Look, all I'm going to say, Pretty Deadly was a tag team on the come up. Indeed.
Yes.
Kit Wilson is probably doing some of the best solo work of his career. Some of the best work of his career. Look at the pop that he gets for his new theme song. Okay?
Yes.
Look at what he was doing on SmackDown last night. I mean, if anything, okay? Kids got it. Guys got it. Okay? That's the reality of it. But the reason this is happening is because his tag team partner has a broken freaking neck. Injuries.
Yes.
Taking chances off of what should be a prosperous tag team on the main roster. But it happened. Now, AEW, okay? Safest company in the world, still going ahead and doing Daredevil stunts, which I think this is probably the point, even though he's here in spirit, this is probably the point that Mr. 411 turned off Dynamite. What the heck are you doing during that pocket Darby Allin match to allow Darby Allin to take that kind of body slam?
A flat back body drop on the steel steps. Yes.
I'm not going to do it. The reality is we see what this is. We see how this works. What was the point of that? Hasn't the kid done enough? Flaming tables, okay? Plexiglass. Should I continue? Being drowned in a fish tank.
Being thrown down a flight of stairs.
Put in a body bag while flown down a body.
Being put in a body bag and dragged in a car. Remember, he was put in a body bag and dragged on the back of a truck. If you remember that.
Why? Peeps,
yes.
In the next 15 to 20 years, if we're talking about Darby Allin, the man might be paralyzed.
You know how old Darby Allin is? Take a guess.
I'll say 24.
He's 32. He's still a very young guy.
That guy even went younger.
Yes. And if you think about it, when we've talked, including with Chris has been part of this as well, when we've all talked about certain things, I love Darby Allin's character. I love the fact that he is one of the rare guys in AEW that makes you believe in his character because he believes in his character to the extent that it's not a detriment to the belief with the fans believing in his character. That he will literally do anything to win a match. And because he's, as they were saying in the movie Rudy, you're 5'0". You're 100 and nothing. That's basically the belief factor that he has to do these things to win matches. Okay, if that's the case, no problem. The issue is, as you've heard me for years on this show, we've been doing this show for 5 years almost. This upcoming April, we together as a duo, we've been doing the show almost 5 years.
Yep.
And when we talk about Darby Allin, we talked about the fact that he's great in the sense of his character and what he does and those kinds of things. But we've also talked about how if you're going to do an angle, and unless there is a reason for it, whether it's going to start a feud, end a feud, or be an injury angle, what's the payoff? You've heard me say this many, many times. Even your uncle has said on this very show, what is the reason behind a particular situation, a move or whatever? Why? What's the point? And the point is, if you're going to do something like this, then when you actually do something extreme, how much more extreme do you have to get? Now, we just talked about Elton Prince. He was put in a combination move from May. It was a tag team match in May between Fraxium and Pretty Deadly. And he took a nasty Scorpion Death Drop. It was a Scorpion Death Drop combo DDT with his partner taking the DDT. And Prince's neck was crimped back. And he landed on the top of his head. The same thing that William Regal talked about in his post about landing on your neck and potentially ending up paralyzed. Because Regal himself has broken his neck twice. He said he was in a car accident and then he broke his neck and tried to wrestle through it. These are the kinds of things that at that young age have to change. And it will answer that question. Do you think William Regal is correct on his assertion?
Yes. But here's the problem piece. Why don't the young people love to take it? Why don't they love the help, you know?
It's called hubris. That's what it is. It's called hubris.
You see, and this is where I hate it. Do not disagree with the risk, but does Darby still get huge crowd reactions? If you're doing moves like this for the sake of crowd reactions that will die down by the time you hit 40, and you're now paralyzed from the waist down, or you can't move at all, bedridden, you're going to sit there and you're going to think to yourself, what was the point? That's the issue. Mm-hmm. I don't. Okay, again, just look at the certain people who have been injured and how much time it took off their careers, okay? Edge, Nigel McGuinness, Big E currently. Look at Raven. Look at Raven.
Look at the current face of AEW, Will Ospreay. We don't know when he's going to be back. Look at Kenny Omega. There are a lot of wrestlers that have had, whether an unforced error or something that happened in ring as far as something that they did that was dangerous. That the issue isn't that. The issue is there seems to be less of an effort to protect the wrestlers themselves from doing the really extreme things. Now, we don't have a problem to see an extreme move or something like that along those lines, but there has to be a reason. Case in point, MJF, I'm trying to remember the match that he had. Do you remember the match where he separated his shoulder, where he dove off the top rope and dropped an elbow on his opponent and went through a table that had already broken? Now, MJF is without question one of the best talents out there. He knows how to protect himself and do the smart things. But I think in his mind, he felt, I need to go through with this spot just because I'm already up here. Let me go ahead and go through the spot. And he went through it. And he was on the shelf for almost 6 months and wrestled throughout the year with a badly damaged shoulder. These are the kinds of things that make you question the decisions that a lot of the wrestlers make. And the question that you asked, as far as why do we think wrestlers do these kinds of things and make these kinds of decisions, it's partially the roar of the crowd. They're addicted to knowing that they've done something that the fans are going to pop for. Any number of reasons shouldn't happen.
Now, you see, I'm trying to get it. it's never about standing out because of the fact that you're short, or because that you're little, and as a professional wrestler, you're expected to be big and buff and all these different types of other things. People question if he has to do it for the sake of trying to be a millionaire. Let me ask you this, peeps. And as much as we could talk about his buffness may add to that, prior to him going ahead and going to WWE, right? Was Eddie Guerrero prosperous in professional wrestling?
For the most part, yes.
Was Rey Mysterio prosperous in professional wrestling?
Yes.
Is AJ Styles prosperous in pro wrestling?
Yes.
Roxanne Perez?
Yes.
Tony Storm?
Yes.
Austin Theory?
On some level, yes.
You get the point.
Yes.
In the sake of taking risks, yes, taking risks is always necessary in the terms of professional wrestling because you're a professional wrestler. I get it. Once in a blue moon, you want to go ahead and do something to manage a pop factor. Brock Lesnar did it. Sheesh. What happened to him? And he wasn't short. Man was a 2-time NCAA wrestling champion.
Yes.
He still wanted to do a stupid shooting star press. And where did that land him? What did that get him? Okay? Kurt Angle landed on his neck after breaking his freaking neck in the Olympics about a couple of years after. Where did that land him? Okay? There are certain things that don't need to be done. Some of these other young cats, they're taking care of their careers. Yes, have they had injuries? Yes, have they had certain things? But when it comes down to neck health, when it comes down to these certain things, they try to limit the use of oversaken moves because they don't want to go ahead and increase the chance of going ahead and injuring themselves because a lot of people want prosperous careers. So again, in my sense, I just don't feel that it's worth it. It can't be. For the little bit of money that you get, what happens after? Shoot, we try to unionize it in the 80s. Thank Hogan. Because guess what? You think after you're done with a company, let's say your contract is up, are they going to pay for your medical? I guess not. But in the sake of all things good, I digress.
There you go.
With that being said, this marks the end of Three Rope Talk. Guys, we appreciate you for going ahead and listening to this. If you want to keep with all the latest social media news and updates in the world of pro wrestling, you can follow us on our social media platforms. Instagram being at Saturday Afternoons _ Main Event, Twitter being Saturday Main, and our TikToks where we also go ahead and post good memes for your entertainment at Saturday Afternoons ME. With that being said, peeps, before we go ahead and get to our question of the week, give us the ratings.
The ratings for this week are as follows. It was roughly between 10,000 less viewers for one show and 10,000 more almost for the other. NXT won again, but about 9,000 less than they did last week. So they did 618,000 with a 0.09 in the demo, whereas AEW did 526,000 with a 0.08 in the demo. So there was a loss of 10,000 for NXT, and AEW gained about 10,000 from last week, but roughly the same range for both shows. So that's where that went. And I guess for AEW, it's good that they've kept that 520, 530. They've kept that number and kind of sustained it a little bit. Let's see what happens next week, because we're eventually going to get the AMC ratings for TNA Impact. And I'd love to see what those numbers were on the new channel, the new network.
I pray it's a strong low to mid 200K.
Yes.
I'm just praying.
If they can pull the same number that Collision is getting, which is roughly 210, 217, 220, somewhere in that number, because Collision actually this week did 271,000 and they got a 0.03 in the demo on a Saturday night against sports. That's not that bad.
We know that number is actually about what, 700K because of the other 500,000 that watch on HBO Max.
There you go. There you go.
But in reality, look, we're just hoping for a good number. So at least we get that number probably later today or somewhere this week. But with that being said, those were the ratings. Let's go ahead and kick this show off into high gear with the last couple of 20 minutes that we have left. Peeps, we're going to go ahead and get into our question of the week. Of course, guys, if you want to be able to go ahead and send in your question of the week, you want to be a part of the show. If you feel that your question is that damn good and you want to go up against other fans and other listeners who watch the show, all you got to do is one thing only. If you think that the question is, in the words of Triple H, that damn good, DM us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons_main event. Send in a question. And in the words of the wrestling guy, WWE JBL, well, WWE Legend JBL, I guarantee you'll be on the next episode of the show. So, look, guys, reality is this. This one comes from Master Sean 007. He says, greetings, gentlemen. Let's talk about the WWE Hall of Fame. Who would you like to see get in this year? You know, I know Stephanie's already going in, so how about maybe William Regal? I'll throw that in there since I already mentioned them earlier in the show. Cornette.
That probably won't happen, but that would be something nice to see. Yeah.
Peeps. We know that's never happened, right? Finley. That's another one.
How about Demolition, who still are not in the WWE Hall of Fame, even though we know that they've signed. I believe they signed a Legends contract with the company, so that's probably incoming. But they should have been in their Hall of Fame a long time ago.
Axe and Smash, I agree. Yeah. Damn. I think Bray probably goes in this year. I have a feeling Bray goes in this year. Damn.
Because remember, when they usually do the Hall of Fame, they're usually looking for a main event, like who's in the main event slot to get into the Hall of Fame. Now, we know Triple H did it before, and then we know Undertaker has been in that slot before, and so somebody that's going to get the lion's share of the attention that they're going to put toward that Hall of Fame. So yeah, that would be something. I know AJ Styles, who's already stated that this is his last year in the business. If he doesn't go in this year, then he's definitely going in next year. John Cena,
yeah, that's another one. Do you think he actually gets inducted this year? I would think they probably give it a couple of more years.
I don't think they're going to wait that long. It's going to depend on, I think, availability. And also remember, if they wait until next year, WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi.
I'd be pissed. They can't.
Yes.
At least 3 years. Oh, geez. Peeps don't.
Just keep that in mind. If whatever they do is going to be in the same city. So if they do it, would they do it in Vegas? Where's WrestleMania going to be after Saudi? Because Saudi is next year. What's WrestleMania going to be then? So let's see. Do they hold off?
I know Saudi's trying to get one person in. How about the Rock can be next year instead of Cena? Please, I'd rather that. But no Cena in Saudi. That would hurt me because I ain't traveling to Saudi to see my go get inducted. No,
I understand.
Y'all not doing that to me. Yeah, I swear they do. I'm done with WWE. F the fence. I'm sorry, peeps. But how about this one? Because I feel like they've been mentioning him a lot within the last year and a half or so. Haku.
Yeah.
Man, why not?
It's amazing that he's not even in their Hall of Fame.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember telling you a couple years back that I did not consider the WWE Hall of Fame an actual Hall of Fame until Bruno Sammartino went in. And I'm glad it happened while he was alive. But look how long it took. Obviously, the first inductee was Andre the Giant. I get it. But really, let's call it what it is. If there was no Bruno Sammartino, there would be no Andre to be able to induct into a company in the first place. So that's kind of where I was at there. But they've gotten names, and it's gotten highly political when it comes to who gets in when there's a particular wrestler who knew somebody that did something. That's kind of how it is. So let's see where they go from there. But Demolition should have been in there a long time ago.
Think about it. If Haku's not in, but Kid Rock is, what does that tell you?
Hey, Drew Carey is in there. Pete Rose is in there. So,
Bob Uecker. You know?
Yeah. Yes. So, like I said before, let's see what they do. But on a pure wrestling side of this, I would love to see them announce that Demolition is going in. That would be something that would really help out. I don't know who's going to get. Well, obviously Stephanie McMahon is going in, so she's probably, unless they announce another huge wrestler, she will probably be the main event slot to get in and announce. So I think that's what they do.
You know, peeps, it's funny enough because I'm still waiting for the Midnight Express to get in as well.
Yes, the Midnight Express should have been in. My favorite tag team of all time.
There's too many of them. I mean, yes. The Rockers could go in if they wanted to put them in.
The Rock and Roll Express, they could have been in there as well. But we've got to remember, the WWE did not really turn this into a Hall of Fame until Vince has been gone from the company now. So Triple H is running everything, and they're much more in the eyes of being less myopic in scope as far as who they bring in, and is a matter of it's now all encompassing to people that have never wrestled in the company, like Abdullah the Butcher going into the Hall of Fame, which on the merits of who he is, that's one thing. But Abdullah never wrestled in WWE, WWF, or WWF. So you got that.
Got a point there. Well, look, Master Sean 007, thank you for the question. We appreciate it, man.
Yes.
Look, you guys want to be on the show. You guys feel like you guys have a question that should be on the show, and is that damn good? Again, DM us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons _main event. Send it in, and if it's that damn good, it'll be on the next episode of the show. With that being said, peeps, we'll just go ahead and get into the last part of today's show.
Yes.
It's really fair that we could go ahead and do that now.
Yes.
Look, the state of the WWE heading into this year's Royal Rumble taking place in Saudi Arabia. Peeps, Drew McIntyre is now our WWE champion.
Yes.
We were having thoughts that Cody Rhodes should go ahead and become heel. We thought to ourselves that Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns should happen at WrestleMania. Have the trilogy match without the title. No title.
Was my thinking going in.
Now we're hearing from Dave Meltzer, which, of course, guys, we take it with a grain of salt, so don't come for us. But the reality is that Dave is saying that WWE is scrapping plans for Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns to happen at this year's WrestleMania, due to the fact that Triple H would feel that if they do carry through with that match, that the fans would be tired of seeing it. So what does that leave us now, peeps? What does Cody not turn heel then? Does Cody actually go back to chasing the title and winning it at WrestleMania? What happens to Jacob Fatu? What are we gonna do? Lazy booking and just put the man in a three-way? What are we doing here, peeps? The floor is yours.
Okay, this is something that we spoke on probably about, say, 3 hours ago, before we even did our pre-production, and we talked about how there is something, and I brought this up, how there has been very little, if any, build to this Royal Rumble. Now, the only way that we get into the build of the Royal Rumble, you have to go back to yesterday. Literally less than 24 hours ago, Cody Rhodes had basically said, I'm going to go into the Royal Rumble as an entrant, and I'm going to try and be the first person to win 3 in a row in quite some time. I believe it's only happened one other time.
Yep.
Let's really call this what this is. It's almost as if Triple H and the WWE have put the Royal Rumble on the back burner, mostly to kind of placate Saturday night's main event, which is happening next week. And between that The Rumble is the week after. And we've had no title matches booked. We've had no extra matches to determine who gets number 30 or who gets number 1 or any of those silly stipulation matches that they do to drum up the attention and the hype for the pay-per-view. And we have to wonder, does this really have anything to do with a lack of foresight and booking? Or are we going to have all of the booking that needs to be done and shown in the next week or two? Or is it because of the fact that, to call it what it is, because the Rumble is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia? Is that a big cause for consternation? I'm not sure. But it doesn't make any sense how we're now at January 17th. We don't have a single match booked. We don't have, for the exception of that one entrant going in, anything else. Nothing.
Isn't that just great?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
And to think, you just mentioned that Cody Rhodes literally just announced himself as an entrant in the Rumble.
Yes.
That was January 16th. Last year, John Cena was the first to go ahead and call himself into the Rumble match. And that happened January 5th, first Netflix of the year.
Yes.
You're telling me it's taking him 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to begin actually building up this Rumble? Why so late? Yeah. Are we really that stuck up that, WrestleMania plans were probably not thought of already? You guys didn't have a plan set in place? Why is it taking this long to announce for the Rumble? Speaking of that, what are we doing for the Rumble? Peeps, should we expect WWE to pick up the pace after Rumble? Should it be set in stone by then? Or are they still going to be going back and forth on this WrestleMania booking?
I would not be surprised if they feel that the main parts of the Royal Rumble card will be built out after Saturday night's main event. It's the way that it's being booked. That's kind of the way it feels. Plus, they're also doing this international swing where they're going to be in Belfast, Ireland on Monday for Raw. And that itself is going to be a big show for Monday Night Raw. I think the thought process going in is that because of this international booking and how they're doing it, maybe they're not getting what they're looking for. But you also need to drum up enough interest. And here is the proposal that I was making before to see if we can get that interest going. You figure the two champions of one of Raw and one of SmackDown, obviously the world champion on SmackDown, or the heavyweight champion on SmackDown, is the new one in Drew McIntyre. And then the world heavyweight champion on Raw, CM Punk, who have had a blood feud for the last 18 months. True, they're not facing each other this year or right now, but you can drum up interest by having them both, either one showing up on Raw or one showing up on SmackDown, or maybe it'll happen. Maybe they have something planned, and have them jawing at each other. One of them talking about, I'm the champ. I'm going to main event WrestleMania. Whoever comes out of the Rumble is going to face me, and I'm going to headline WrestleMania. CM Punk can do the same thing, even though he headlined WrestleMania last year, but we know what happened. He's going to be world champion going in. I'm going to main event WrestleMania as the world champion. You have them jaw-jacking with each other to drum that up. You get the interest going, but then you also know whoever comes out of the Rumble, whoever they pick, they're going to need another opponent after that. That's what the Elimination Chamber is for, in Chicago, no less. So you can do one of those things and see where it goes, and you book from there. But right now, we don't even see that because they've done a really slow job of booking this, and I don't know what the holdup is.
Now, peeps, let me ask you this. If Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns isn't what's going to happen at WrestleMania, then is this set in stone that either Roman Reigns or one Sami Zayn is going to win this year's Rumble?
That's a good question. We know we're gonna probably end up having a lot of surprises. Obafemi, who has not shown, is he going to be on Raw and SmackDown? I can see him in the Rumble. I can see him taking down a bunch of people and staying in there, maybe getting the most eliminations before he's knocked out of the match. As far as going and booking who is going to get that slot, Jacob Fatu is going to be in that whole equation, especially after what they did on Friday between himself and Cody Rhodes, and the whole idea of you got a receipt coming. Let's see where that goes. Do they then go and throw Jacob Fatu into the main event somewhere at WrestleMania? Because we know he's main event bound at some point. Yeah. It's just a matter of how they do it. What would you think as your solution to the future booking, just between now and say the Elimination Chamber? What would you think?
You want marquee? Let the person who wins the Elimination Chamber fight for the WWE title. As for me, I'm calling this right now, and I'm only going to say this in that once, and once I'm only. Have Roman Reigns win the Rumble. And you know what? If his plan isn't Cody Rhodes, then please, by all means, give me Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. How about that? That's the story that they've been kind of gnawing at.
Yeah.
Right? We should expect that.
Yeah.
We should. Because even though, yes, he has said that he was going to be gunning back for Cody in his title, I don't feel like Roman versus Drew overshadows Roman versus Punk, because there may be that respect there. And Roman's just like, you know what? I've conquered the other title, so I'm going to let everybody have it on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be World Heavyweight Champion. If that's what you're gonna go with, by all means. But still, I need to see what happens by Rumble, you know? Because it feels more and more like we're gonna go ahead and have one of those Jey Uso moments like last year. And I would hate to have that, because then that just means the wrestling community will be in shambles over what happens, and I do not have time for that.
Instead of going with the proven commodity, they go with somebody who's hot and doesn't have long-term potential in that slot.
But in all fair shares, look, I'll just be saying this. Roman for Men's Rumble, Bianca for Women's Rumble. That's my set of cue. But look, when it comes to our cup of tea, we genuinely don't know what to expect. We have 2 weeks until the Rumble. Of course, next week, that fatal four-way on Saturday night's main event to determine who will face Drew at the Rumble. We have all of that to go in. So look, in this world of professional wrestling, we can enjoy what we can enjoy, but the one thing that we can never do is not expect the unexpected.
Yes.
So, guys, this marks the end of another episode of Same. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and being here throughout this hour, just listening to us do our thing when it comes down to the world of pro wrestling. We thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week for the following episode to also have our reviews and our previews of Saturday night's main event, our reviews of TNA ratings possibly coming in, hopefully doing at least more than 200K. Raw, SmackDown this coming week, NXT, yes. Dynamite, no collision, of course. It's okay, guys. Don't worry. The reality is, guys, we'll see you next week. But, of course, this was Same, where I, the phenomenal one.
And I, the Peeps Nate. And, of course, for Mr. 411, Christopher Morton, who's not with us. Hopefully he'll be with us next week. But, of course, we came.
We saw.
And in the words of the Oracle Paul Heyman,
send us home, peeps.
We conquered.
We conquered, guys. See you next week for the next episode of Same. Phenomenal one. Peeps Nate. Peace. Love. Farewell.